Let me teach Johnny here how to change the oil in his car. Or let me teach Johnny here about, what it means to be respectful and mindful of womanhood.
Why are so many black men absent from their children's lives?
I don't have that answer. I can speculate. I think sometimes as we start to see that young boys or young teenagers, both obviously male and female, are having babies younger and younger. So that connection to family, I think that there's a distance. So people don't understand what it means to be a provider from a male standpoint for your family. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the breadwinner or making more than the woman in your family, but you need to be the head of your household. And I don't know if that training is there coming up. Because I know that for me, every Sunday, we're having dinner. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. We're doing that as a family. We're having dinner. Growing up, we didn't have, because I was in a lot of sports and doing other activities, so that weekly thing, it wasn't expected because I may not get home till late. But Sundays, family dinner is a must.
Is there something that we as a society can do to help reverse that trend? Not just the individual black man making the same decision that I made when my ex-wife was mean to me, that I'm going to be in my son's life. Okay? Not just that guy making that decision. But is there something that we as a society can do to help that decision be made more often?
The concept that it takes a village really to raise a child, and that village starts with your own, in your own home, which branches out into your own community, which branches out into society in itself. So it's about caring. They say that a lot of stuff starts at home. So if both parents are in the home, or even your nuclear family, if both parents are in the home, and if not, then someone else needs to step in and provide some of that role, that good solid role modeling and role mentoring. So it starts in home and it just kind of branches out. So the concept of it takes a village. If as a society we looked at things from more of a global standpoint, more of a village perspective, and start to take care of each other versus just our own, I think we can slowly but surely turn some things around.
One of my viewers who looks at what you just said and he says, I want to help. And he lives in Villa Park or, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You think that if he called 100 black men, they'd go, yeah, come on down Thursday at 3.
Yeah. With open arms. With open arms.
If I could give you an ironclad guarantee of success, 100%, no chance of failure for your next project, what would you attempt?
I've answered that question a number of different times, and I keep kind of going back to ending world hunger and world peace. Being able to be the puppet master or the string puller of that. Those would be my two biggest feats. So if someone said you are now duly knighted with the power to end world hunger, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Let's pretend for a moment that all 7 billion of us are going to watch this video.
Okay.
What would you say to us?
Take a chance on each other. Embrace each other to the fullest, and understand that you and I are no different. And be kind and gentle to your fellow person. There's that commercial that you see, and I forget the name of the commercial or the sponsor, that you see people helping each other. It could be opening the door or picking up a napkin or keeping the person from walking out into traffic. Those are very simple things that we could do every single day to help each other.
And we could even do bigger things.
Oh, we could do, but that's where it starts. It's it's those little things. They say little things mean a lot. A simple good morning, a simple smile, letting someone, make that turn before you. Those are just some simple things that it just kind of starts, and then that person does the same thing, and so then the cycle just perpetuates itself.
Let's pretend for a moment that I could give you any superpower. X-ray vision, bending steel, flying, any one that you've ever heard of, or one that you make up right now on the spot. What superpower would you request of me?
I would probably request the superpower of being invisible.
Why?
Because I could go into some of those corporations and some of those banks and get that cash that's needed to feed people. So if I could just go into a bank, take out tens and twenties, let's just say tens and twenties, and pass them out to people that we see. Because someone with 100 may be questionable. And with someone with a 5 or a 10 and they're just trying to eat, I'd stand right there on that corner, and everybody that passed by walking and they needed a bus pass, I'd buy them a bus pass for the month. So it's those, again, they may not need the car, but they may need to ride that bus for the rest of the month. And so here's a $10 or a $20 bill to help you get your bus pass for the rest of the month. So the superpower of being invisible, and I know it's kind of like promoting theft, but superpower to be invisible, to go and be able to just pass out and help people meet their basic need.
What's your favorite movie?
Blazing Saddles.
Why?
I think it's the dryness of the comedy, and as offensive as it is, they tap everyone.
They poke everybody's eye.
They do, and it's just always been my favorite movie from childhood to this day. If it comes on, I watch it.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it is the Four Agreements.
Who are your heroes?
I start with my mother. Even as a child, and although she passed away when I was 9, she struggled with lupus. But she instilled and ingrained a lot of stuff in my sisters and I, from as far back as I can remember. And one of the main things was, always take care of your sisters, always be there for your sisters. And that's one of the things that I saw her struggle in, just dealing with it, not knowing what I had no idea what lupus was, but seeing her strength in dealing with and living through the adversity of us not having. I talked about going hungry. I've gone hungry before, but the reassurance from my mother saying it'll be okay. It's still, it actually kind of gives me chills now to even think about it. And then I have, my other heroes. Just absolutely love what Dr. King did. There are big pieces and parts of Malcolm, that I absolutely loved. I love what W.E.B. Du Bois did and stood for. I've been to his gravesite in Ghana. I loved what Fannie Lou Hamer stood for. So I've got a lot of heroes. If I could pick one to have dinner with today that's a historical figure, Maya Angelou. I would have dinner with Maya Angelou.
Why?
In her poetry, there's a lot of life, that comes out. And in her recitation of her poetry, some of the things that comes across and what it is that she's saying, and I know why Cageburg sings. I Too Dream America. So a bunch of her things, it's so life. And I think one of the questions I would want to ask her is, what inspires you? And how do you feel how does it feel to know that you are changing a lot of people's lives whenever they are reciting your poems? Then I would ask, I would love to sit at the table with Malcolm, Martin, and our current president.
Because their efforts are largely responsible for the possibility of him doing what he's doing.
Absolutely. Not even the possibility, because if they had not, he would not. Obviously, King gave up a lot. Malcolm gave up a lot.
Well, like when Reverend Jackson ran for president, everybody knew it wasn't even a possibility.
They didn't have a chance.
Right.
Let's even think about Al Sharpton. His bid. No, it wasn't going to happen. But it just kind of goes to show you that we, as a society, we've come a long way. Would you ever thought in your lifetime that you'd see an African American president?
How can we as a society open the door that people with mediocre parents can become servant leaders like you are?
Even with those mediocre parents, they care. They may not always express it, or they may express it maybe not in the best way, but I think every parent cares. I think we need to remind ourselves that they're human, and so sometimes if we change the mindset of those parents, then that can manifest itself in the changing the mindset of their children, if that makes any sense.
So society should be trying to change the mindset of parents.
It's going to be a tough battle because it's hard to change. They say a leopard doesn't change its spots. We grow up learning things a certain way, and sometimes because that's the way it was instilled in us, then by God, that's the way that it is. And we sometimes won't stray away from that path. So sometimes we can't unlearn, or the adage that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Now that doesn't mean that they can't do it differently.
Is there anything else that I've neglected to ask you that you think bears mentioning at this juncture?
I think I would ask me, why do you do what you do?
Why do you do what you do?
I feel just led to do it. There's nothing that says, hey, Doug, you're going to get this if you do this. Because sometimes, if you see someone in need, help them. The teen court, it just seems like I felt led to do it. The Orange County Human Relations Commission, which I just absolutely love, there are a lot of people that need to be stood up for. I'm not trying to be anyone's savior, but I feel that I have a voice that can help someone. The 100 Black Men of Orange County and in my fraternity with the young African American boys that we're working with, if they look at me and say, I want to be like Mr. Woolley, then okay, I'm okay with that, because I'm pretty sure that I'm content in the fact that I live a life that someone may feel and be satisfied with emulating, or just saying, you know what, Mr. Doug does the right thing. I think if you ask one of our friends about me, one of the things that they'll say is, Doug will always do the right thing. And I think that that's a part of living life. I'm doing it because I think it's the right thing to do. So that's why I do what I do, because it's the right thing to do. I'm not looking for any notoriety. I don't even there's nothing that I could expect. If I see, whenever we graduate our young men through our Passport to the Future program through the 100 Black Men of Orange County, it gives me a sense of pride, and I don't have children. It gives me a sense of pride that each one of those young men, is kind of like my son. And that's regardless as to the experience. Yeah, I may never touch that particular boy because young man, because I'm mentoring some of the other ones, but they've been in the classrooms that I've taught in. And I see them walk across the stage and see that transformation from that young adult coming into us at 14 and they're finishing with us at 17 or 18. You see that transformation. You see that growth. You see that maturation that happens. And, at our graduation, I'm just like, wow. We're changing lives.
Well, thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thank you so much for taking your precious time to meet with me. I'm very grateful.
My pleasure.